Your Image, your public relations program on TV. Last week, we had an interesting session, and because we had two experts who were at their game, giving us insights into how we can have increased productivity in area of agriculture and livestock production. They're still here with me, and I have the honor of welcoming once again Mr. Oluwadare Olukayode Paul, who is the National General Secretary, Nigeria Association of Animal Health and Husbandry Technologists.
Thank you for having me, sir.
It's a pleasure having you once again. Thanks for your great contribution last week.
Thank you.
And I also have Prince Oyewumi Oyebode Oyedele Oyetunde, who is the current chairman of the Nigerian Association of Animal Health with you last week. Yes. So I'm going to change my angle.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Oluwadare, we had some tidbits, discussions on the modern unorthodox and maybe what we call primitive way of enhancing productivity and even animal health. Can you give us some exposure on those areas?
First and foremost, last week I was to give you an example, a testimony, and that is going to be my starting point.
Okay.
I met this woman some years ago where she was to buy a drug for suicide. What happened? She lost her husband.
Drug for suicide?
Yes, she wanted to buy the drug. The moment she mentioned the name of the drug, I know the mission she was telling she was to use the drug for. What happened? She lost her husband and she was hopeless. You don't know where to start. Their children are in university. What do you have? We don't have anything. Okay. What did your husband leave for you? Collect them. Cut those plastic bottles into two. Fill each of them with soil. You are good to go. Just on the window, in the balcony. Fine. The paint buckets. Why do you throw them away? Your bucket that has been old, that you don't use again, they are excellent resources for all these modern ones. But when you talk about meaning, you are only preparing for what you and your family will consume. But when it comes to micro, if it is micro, you and your mouth and your family. But when it comes to meaning, you are raising the agriculture for what you will eat, and then you still want to make a little change. The change may not be much.
Just for sustenance.
Just for sustenance. You can have plastic to plant your vegetables. Efotete, ugu, ila, all of them will survive. You can even start that also. You can just take one or two.
Chemical.
It looks fresh.
It looks fresh again. But you go to your compound, you want to do it about amala. You cut
fresh vegetable
fresh from your farm. You live healthy.
Well, there's another area that I want you to give us more enlightenment, and that's in the area of supplements.
Okay.
Supplements.
Yes.
For animals.
For animals and for plants.
And for plants.
Supplement for animals, we have to take essential care about that.
Okay.
It's not just rearing animals. Somebody said something that you have goat, you don't give him food, you don't give him drugs, you don't call fed. They are not bushmeat. Mm-hmm. They require attention. Let me just say this in this way, sir. When you want to get, you look for a man that will control the three: the earth, the nutrition, and the genetics.
The vertical.
Once are well controlled, you get good results.
Now, he mentioned something like supplement.
Okay.
In all sincerity, there is no balanced feed. Quote my word. I'm not castigating marketers and marketing of feed. But when you talk about feed, you don't know that there is a difference between feed and food.
Okay, we want to understand the difference.
There is a difference between feed and food. Food, amala in the morning, rice in the afternoon, any other type of food.
No, let's relate it to the animals.
Now I'm going somewhere. That is the issue of food. Food can have its own variation. But when it comes to feed, it is what they take 24/7 throughout the day and throughout the year.
Okay.
That's the difference. But now, All these fields, they still need supplement. And what are these supplements? These are micronutrients. These are things that supply the macronutrients, which your livestock like. For instance, you can like fertilizer. Some people call it fertilizer, but actually it is supplement to give the essential nutrients that the soil lacks to the plant. So the word supplement is what can give them what the major things that are not given in the micro ones to complement their performance.
Let me chip in this.
Okay.
When you talk of supplements, there are some materials we use to feed the animals. Take for example soya bean.
Yes.
When you use soya bean is deficient in methionine.
Definitely.
When you use like GNC, it's deficient in lysine. So when you are using
what is GNC?
Granite cake.
Because we want this local name so that people can.
So when you do your formulation and you are using more of soya bean meal and little GNC, when you come to your micronutrient level, you have to increase your methionine level and then reduce your.
No, I want us to use the local name.
Methionine is an amino acid.
Amino acid.
It's one of the protein
essential amino acids that the animals require. But the material you are using to formulate the food for them.
Job was not there because I want to say that our set should be one of the first sets that you don't have people that are duly sponsored by the ministry or by private organizations. I came back, I don't have anything to live on. What do I do? In that same small room of 8 by 8 feet, which was my room, which I have my bed, I have my table, my stove is under the table, which is the kitchen. The chair, one small chair is there. Yet I started raising 25 cockerels per set in that same room. So if you really want to start, if you are an entrepreneur, you are agripreneur, you are this and that, you only need to take some steps to know what can you do and how do you do it. Once you know how and where, one of sachet with little soil. The bower that you have transplanted and that you have nursed, plant it in it. A sachet of bower which they sold for 300. By the time he grew it up, I think they gave him about 2,700 seedlings, and he sold each seedling 250 naira. I did not make his money.
Hello, let me say this, sir.
It is well.
Most people, they carry phone that can buy 1.5 plot of land for them. Some will use 2 when they are not.
iPhone and this and that.
I know a lady when she was serving, she called his dad and mom and said, "Mom, Dad, I'm still a student. Forget my federal government Alawi. That money I'll be sending home every month." What are they doing with the money? They use the money to raise broiler for her for Christmas. I was challenged.
But empowering youth is to look deeper on making some of these facilities accessible to the youths.
Facilities like?
If there is good light, and then, but before we go into light, let the government call the youths together, give them a better orientation. If you inform somebody, you have delivered that person from malformation. Once you rightly inform, the person is delivered from malformation. I think if there is anything I can advise, they should do more in orientation and